So I work at this small, family-owned bike shop in a sleepy coastal town. We mostly get tourists renting cruisers in the summer, but we also help locals with repairs. Nothing fancy, just patching tubes, tuning gears, adjusting seats. It's low stress, and I like it that way. Anyway, this happened about a year ago, on one of those crisp early spring mornings when the air smells like grass and ocean. I was in the shop alone when a girl walks in. She couldn't have been more than 11, wearing this bright yellow helmet that looked way too big for her head, holding a beat-up little pink bike with one flat tire and sparkly streamers hanging off the handlebars. She walks up and just goes, "Hi, can you fix this?" No parent in sight. No hesitation. Just pure determination. I kind of blinked at her and said, "Sure thing." "What happened to it?" She goes, super matter of fact, "I hit a nail. It made a hissing noise and then it went sad." I cracked up. Sad tire has now become shop lingo for a flat. Anyway, while I'm patching it up, she hangs around and starts asking a million questions. What does that tool do? Why do you have so many tires? Do you get bored when nobody comes in? And the kicker, do you ever talk to the bikes when no one's around? I told her I sometimes say sorry when I drop a wrench on one. She nodded seriously and said, "That's polite. Bikes have feelings too." So after about 20 minutes, I get the tire fixed, check the brakes, and oil the chain a little. I tell her she's good to go, and she gives me this giant grin and says, "I'm going to ride it everywhere now." Then she hesitates and adds, "But not over nails." A few days later, she's back. This time the chain popped off. Then it was a squeaky brake. Then a missing pedal reflector. Then she just started dropping by even when the bike was fine. Turns out her name's Maya. Her mom works long hours at a diner down the street, and her older brother, who used to watch her, moved out. So now she guess everywhere by herself after school. I asked her if her mom knew where she was hanging out, and she said, "Yeah." I told her, "You're the bike doctor and I'm your assistant." That kind of stuck. I'd give her little assignments, like organizing the inner tubes for handing me wrenches. I'd explain how gears worked and let her tinker with the rental bikes. She even learned how to true a wheel before the summer was over, which is something I didn't master until college. One day, she brings in a shoebox and tells me not to open it until lunch. Inside is a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, a juice box, and a napkin with a badly drawn cartoon of me high-fiving a bicycle. Captioned, "Bike Doctor Rules." My heart just about exploded. When her birthday rolled around in July, I asked her what she wanted. She looked me dead in the eye and said, "A horn that sounds like a duck." I asked why a duck, and she said, "Because geese are too scary and cows are too big." So I spent 2 hours online finding this rubber duck horn that squeaks when you squeeze it. She attached it to her handlebars and would honk it at random tourists. It actually became a thing. People started coming into the shop asking if we sold duck horns. We didn't, but I bought 10 more just to have them around. As the summer ended and school started again, she came by less often. But every Friday, she'd stop in after class to check on the patients, as she called the bikes. Sometimes she'd bring muffins her mom made. Other times she'd just sit on the stool by the window and tell me about her week, how she failed a spelling test but drew a cool dragon, or how she saw a dog that looked like a cloud. It got to the point where I'd worry if she was 5 minutes late, like a little sister I never expected to have. One cold day in November, she shows up looking all excited. She holds out a crumpled permission slip and says, "Can you come to my school's career day? You can be the bike doctor." I'm not gonna lie, I choked up a little. I said yes, of course. So I show up at her school a week later with a display of bike parts and a white coat I borrowed from a friend who's an actual doctor. I even had Maya make me a name tag that said Dr. Wrench. She beamed the entire time, introducing me to everyone as the best fixer in town. One of the kids asked if we were related. Maya looked up at me and said, "Not by blood, but kinda in the heart." That one got me. I still work at the shop. Maya's a year older now, a little taller, a little more sarcastic. But she still swings by after school when she can. Still brings me sandwiches sometimes. Still honks her duck horn when she rides past. So yeah, I thought I was just fixing a bike tire. Turns out I got a kid's sidekick, a sandwich supplier, and what might be the coolest little sister I never had. I live in a small neighborhood where everyone pretty much keeps to themselves. Not in a rude way, just one of those quiet suburbs where people nod at each other, mow their lawns, and go back inside. Except for Mr. Henley. He's the one neighbor everyone talks about, but no one really talks to. Older guy, maybe mid-70s, always in the same faded flannel shirt and these suspiciously clean white sneakers. He waters his lawn at exactly 7 a.m., never waves, and once yelled at a kid for stepping on his grass. Total get off my lawn vibes. So naturally, I was nervous when I accidentally launched a soccer ball at his yard. It was my nephew's ball. We were playing around when I gave it one too many kicks and it bounced straight into Mr. Henley's prized lawn. My nephew froze like he'd seen a ghost. Should we just leave it? He asked, dead serious. I couldn't in good conscience do that. So I walked up, rang the bell, bracing myself for a lecture. Mr. Henley answered the door with a glare that could flatten concrete. I apologized, told him about the ball, and to my surprise, he just nodded silently and walked out to get it. No lecture, no eye roll, just handed it over with a grunt. Then he said, "You live next door, right?" I nodded. "You like tomatoes?" I blinked. Yeah, I guess." He disappeared inside and came back with a brown paper bag. "Too many this year. Take some." I thanked him and left with the ball and about 6 of the juiciest tomatoes I've ever seen. That was the first crack in the wall. A week later, I was planting some herbs on my tiny porch. Basil, mint, some cilantro. I saw Mr. Henley out front trimming his hedges. I lifted a hand to wave. He gave me a tiny, barely there nod. Progress. A couple days later, there's a knock at my door. It's Mr. Henley, holding a small potted rosemary plant. "Cilantro's nice, but you'll want this too. Good with potatoes." I was so surprised I just blurted out, "Thanks," and took it. And that's how it started. The man who once shooed away Girl Scouts started showing up with clippings from his garden. Oregano, chives, even a small blueberry bush. I started bringing over little dishes I made with them. Roasted veggies, herb butter, muffins with the blueberries. He never smiled, but he never said no. We started trading. He'd give me seeds. I'd give him banana bread. He told me which flowers kept away aphids. I fixed the loose step on his porch. Slowly, this thing grew between us. Not just plants, but a kind of quiet friendship. The kind where you don't have to say much to mean a lot. Then one day, I came home to find a handwritten note taped to my door. Just said, "Away for a bit. Watch the garden." That was it. I watered everything daily. Checked the tomatoes, trimmed the basil, even chased off a particularly determined squirrel. After 2 weeks, he came back. Didn't say where he'd been. Just gave me a nod and handed me a tiny pumpkin from his backyard patch. He carved a smiley face into it. I swear I almost teared up. That fall, we started working on a little shared patch between our yards. Tomatoes, peppers, beans. I'd never gardened with anyone before, but it became our weekend routine. He'd mutter tips under his breath, and I'd pretend to understand. Sometimes I'd catch him humming. I learned his wife passed away years ago, that they used to garden together, that he stopped for a long time after she died. "I didn't realize how quiet the days got," he said once, adjusting his hat. "The green helps." This spring, I found a tiny wooden sign on the shared garden bed, painted in simple letters. M and H's garden. No explanation, just that. I call him Henley now. He still pretends to hate small talk, but he'll sit with me on the porch and sip lemonade. My nephew isn't afraid of him anymore. The other day, he actually gave the kid a tomato and said, "You better eat this. That ball of yours still owes me." And every time I walk outside and see the rosemary plant on my porch, I remember how a soccer ball and a paper bag of tomatoes somehow grew into a friendship I never saw coming.